guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Jacksonville, Florida. I had no intention of posting anything or filming anything besides maybe a plan with me from my trip, but here we are because I didn't plan far enough ahead and wasn't able to get my October monthly wrap up before I left. So I'm doing it now. I obviously don't have any of my books with me, so I'm going to just stick them all here for you guys to see, just in case you need a little refresher of what the books look like or you wanted to find them for yourself. So the first book that I read, of seven books, the first book that I read was Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. And this book is about, I don't know how they described it. I feel like I've talked about this book quite a bit because I read it during one of my vlogs. But it is, say you're Alice, you go to Wonderland, you come home, and you don't want to be home, you want to go back. How would you feel? What would you do? If you were part of one of C.S. Lewis's worlds and you went through into Narnia, that kind of thing. This book is about kids who have gone into doorways to fantastic worlds and they don't quite cope well. Most of them want to go back, not all of them do, but it kind of, they feel like they're missing something from their normal world. A little warning that one of the characters is very rude, crass, and crude. She speaks bluntly, she's very sexual, and it's definitely a trigger thing because it kind of made me go, oh, when I read it. And my daughter was like, oh, I want to read that. And I was like, no, maybe not. Maybe so much not. So if you're a younger viewer, or if you have issues with crude sexual humor, maybe this isn't the best book. But it's only one character, so I don't know. You have to make that decision for yourself. The second book I read was The Night Nightingale, and I also had this in one of my reading vlogs. And it is easily the best book I've ever read in my entire life. It was heart-wrenching and amazing and just gave you all the feels. And the best part is, it's historical fiction. So the author went out of her way to make sure that she had this as historically correct as she possibly could. So it's about World War II, like most historical fictions these days are, but it's a slightly different view on it. It is set in France, and it is about the people who get left behind. If you're not a Jew or whatever else they took, they took communists and Jews and homosexuals and a list of different people that they took and put them in the concentration camps. But say you are a French female and you're living in occupied France during World War II, what would your life be like? And this was a book about that. It was about the atrocities that the Nazis put these poor French women through, and it was a spectacular book. I put it up on Facebook as my favorite book ever. Not sure if that's quite right, but pretty close. Probably my favorite book ever. And I had a couple of friends read it, and one of them was like, oh my gosh, you need to give me a recommendation for another book because that was amazing. There's a plane flying over if you can hear it, sorry. But it was hard to explain to somebody that that was probably one of the best books I've ever read, and if I find another one, I'll be happy. So, amazing, 5 out of 5, Nightingale, yes. The third book I read was Rogue. It is the third book in the Croak series. Croak, it's also the end of the trilogy. It's a 3-book trilogy. Yeah, okay. So Croak is about this little city that exists in the middle of nowhere. I want to say it's like East Coast, middle of nowhere, upstate New York or something like that. I can't remember exactly where they said it was from, where it was. And they don't really talk about it too much, and so I can't remember. But it is a town full of Grim Reapers. So the mayor of the town has this special board that locates teenagers who are in danger of being too reckless and who had the potential to be Grim Reapers. And he brings them into this city and teaches them how to be Grim Reapers. And when his niece ends up being the most recent acquisition for the city, things start to go wrong. It's a really cute book. I listened to the first two ages ago, and I just finished the third one. Not because I didn't like it, but because I kept forgetting I had it, because it was an audiobook on Audible, and sometimes I have so many in there that it gets lost in the shuffle. But I finally got to it and finished it, and really, really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I don't know how to word my feelings for this book. I liked the book. However, it was kind of slow. There was parts that I was really bored with. It took me a lot longer to get through than I was expecting it to. Keeping in mind that I read this for Zoe's readathon, and I intended to read both books because they're not very long, but it took me all day to read that one because I kept getting sidetracked. And I liked the story. I thought it was really good. It's, you know, about this girl who's really, really into forensics, and then the Jack the Ripper murders start, and she's really intrigued, and she starts hunting down who Jack is. And I found it very interesting, very compelling, but at the same time, very dull in parts. It's like there was too much talk, not enough action. And I do have, Hunting Prince Dracula, the next one, but I haven't started it yet because I'm just I don't know what I want to do with it now. Because when I started it, I thought this was going to be the greatest book ever. It's about Jack the Ripper. I thought, yes, I love Jack the Ripper. But it fell a little flat for me. It wasn't a bad book by any means. I really liked the feminist part of it. I really liked how she wanted to be pretty and wear gorgeous dresses and have nice shoes and jewelry and be girly. But at the same time, she wanted to spend her time shoving her limbs into cadavers. That part of it I loved. The execution wasn't quite there for me. The next book I read was Heartless, and I am an Alice in Wonderland freak, and so Heartless was right up my alley. It was so much fun to have somebody come up with a reason why the Red Queen is the way she is. Because you know that all villains, something has to happen to them, right? They're not normally born evil. I mean, there's a couple, don't get me wrong, real life. I know there's a couple that are naturally born evil, but most aren't. And so it was really interesting to see where Marissa Meyer thought that Heartless came from, where the Red Queen came from, how she became this evil person that she is. I really thought it was interesting, and I liked it a lot. The last two books I read, I have listened to on audiobook, and they are Harry Potter books. They are the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, mine says Sorcerer's, and the Chamber of Secrets. And of course, those are my old faithfuls. I absolutely love them. I have not reread them in so many years. I reread the Sorcerer's Stone recently. I read the illustrated copy. But I had a lot of fun just listening to these books because I have been traveling so much, and when I travel, I get all finicky. I don't know how to describe it. I'm always worried I'm going to miss my plane. Even if I'm sitting in the terminal right next to the gate, I'm worried I'm going to miss my plane. I can't concentrate on books when I travel. I can't read them in the planes because I get motion sickness. I obviously can't read while I drive because that would be dangerous. Not that I haven't met people who do that. However, I do not do that because if I had to split my attention like that, I guarantee I would have been in a gutter. So I listen to audiobooks, and my audiobook of choice so far have been Harry Potter. I am almost about 2 hours away from being done with the third one. And I'm really enjoying this re-listen because it's a totally new experience listening to them instead of reading them. And it's fun to be reintroduced to the characters that I love so much and the pieces of the stories that I've forgotten. Because there are so many, there's 7 books and they're extremely long and they have all the movies, and after a little while you start to forget the little details. And I remember the basics, but the little things kind of escape me. like Peeves. I loved Peeves, and I forgot just how obnoxious he is. And I got reintroduced to just how obnoxious Peeves is during this reread, and so far I'm really loving it, and I have a feeling that I'm going to keep listening to it, so next month you should have a couple of more books on this list. But I also need to get back to Maria Cassandra Clare books because they're coming in the mail. They should be there when I get there. So we'll see how this all works out. That is it for now. That is all 7 of my books, and I hope you enjoyed. I am going to go now and try to enjoy Florida while I'm here because I get to wear sweaters because it's cold enough to do so. I love the fall, and I actually get to experience just a little bit of it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!